Once upon a time, in a small village nestled at the edge of a vast, dense forest, there were whispers of an ancient mystery. The villagers spoke of the Enchanted Forest, a place so old and shrouded in legends that no one dared to enter its dark and twisted paths. Stories told of eerie lights flickering between the trees, strange whispers carried on the wind, and shadows that moved on their own. The forest had always been a source of fear and fascination, and it was said to be enchanted, cursed by an ancient sorceress who once lived in its heart. According to the legend, the sorceress, known as Morgathia, was betrayed by her lover, a powerful warlord. In her anguish, she cast a spell upon the forest, binding her spirit to it and cursing anyone who dared to enter. One autumn evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the sky turned a deep shade of crimson, a young man named Thomas decided to unravel the mystery of the Enchanted Forest. Thomas was brave and curious, traits that often led him into trouble. Armed with a lantern and a sturdy walking stick, he ventured into the forest, determined to uncover the truth. The moment Thomas stepped into the forest, an unnatural chill ran down his spine. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves. The trees loomed overhead, their gnarled branches intertwining like skeletal fingers. His lantern cast flickering shadows that danced eerily on the forest floor, creating the illusion of movement in the corners of his vision. As he ventured deeper, Thomas began to hear the whispers. At first, they were faint, indistinguishable murmurs that seemed to come from all around him. But as he pressed on, the whispers grew louder and more distinct. They called his name, beckoning him further into the heart of the forest. The voices were both seductive and sinister, promising secrets and threatening doom in equal measure. Thomas tried to ignore the voices, focusing instead on the path ahead. But the forest seemed to shift and change around him. Paths that were once clear became overgrown with thorny brambles, and trees seemed to move, blocking his way. He felt as though he was being watched, the eyes of unseen creatures following his every move. Suddenly, the whisper ceased, replaced by an eerie silence. Thomas stopped in his tracks, straining to hear anything that might indicate danger. Then, without warning, the ground beneath him gave way, and he tumbled into a hidden ravine. He landed with a thud, his lantern shattering and plunging him into darkness. Groaning in pain, Thomas slowly got to his feet, wincing as he felt a sharp pain in his ankle. He fumbled at his pack for a spare match and managed to light a small candle. The dim light revealed a narrow tunnel leading deeper underground. With no other options, Thomas limped forward, hoping to find a way out. The tall walls were covered in ancient, arcane symbols that glowed faintly in the candlelight. The air grew colder, and Thomas could see his breath misting in front of him. He felt a growing sense of dread, but his curiosity pushed him onward. The tunnel eventually opened into a vast underground chamber, and at its center stood a stone altar. On the altar lay an old, leather-bound book, its cover adorned with the same symbols that lined the tunnel walls. Thomas approached cautiously, feeling a strange pull towards the book. As he reached out to touch it, a voice echoed through the chamber. "Who dares to disturb my sanctuary?" Thomas spun around, his heart pounding in his chest. A figure emerged from the shadows, a woman with long, flowing hair and eyes that glowed with an unnatural light. She was both beautiful and terrifying, her presence radiating power and malice. "I am Morgathia," she said, her voice a chilling whisper. "And you, foolish mortal, have entered my domain." Thomas tried to speak, but his voice caught in his throat. Morgathia approached him, her eyes boring into his soul. "You seek the truth of the Enchanted Forest," she said, "but some truths are better left undiscovered." With a wave of her hand, the book on the altar opened, and ghostly images began to rise from its pages. Thomas saw visions of the forest's past, of Morgathia's betrayal and her dark magic. He saw the souls of those who had entered the forest before him, trapped and tormented for eternity. You will join them, Morgathia hissed, unless you can break the curse. Desperate, Thomas asked how he could free the forest and its trapped souls. Morgathia's eyes narrowed. To break the curse, you must find the heart of the forest and destroy the source of my power, she said. But beware, for the forest will not give up its secrets easily. With that, Morgathia vanished, leaving Thomas alone in the chamber. Determined to save himself and the others, Thomas took the book and made his way back through the tunnel. He emerged from the underground and continued deeper into the forest, guided by the book's cryptic clues. The journey was fraught with danger. Thomas faced malevolent spirits, treacherous terrain, and his own growing fear. The forest seemed to come alive, attacking him with every step. But he pressed on, driven by a sense of purpose. Finally, he reached a clearing at the heart of the forest. In the center stood an ancient, twisted tree, its roots entwined with the bones of the dead. Thomas knew this was the source of Morgathia's power. With trembling hands, he opened the book and began to recite the incantation to break the curse. As he spoke the final words, the ground shook, and the tree began to wither and die. The spirits of the forest were released, their anguished cries filling the air. Morgathia appeared one last time, her face twisted in rage. You may have broken my curse, she snarled, but you will never escape the forest. With a final, ear-piercing scream, she vanished into thin air. The forest fell silent, and the oppressive darkness lifted. Thomas felt a sense of relief wash over him as he made his way back to the village. When he emerged from the forest, the villagers were astonished to see him alive. Thomas shared his story, and the villagers rejoiced that the curse had been lifted. But Thomas knew that the memory of Morgathia and the Enchanted Forest would haunt him forever. As the years passed, the forest slowly returned to its natural state, and the legend of Morgathia became just another ghost story told around the fire. But those who ventured too close to the heart of the forest on a dark night could still hear the whispers, a chilling reminder of the ancient mystery that had once consumed the Enchanted Forest.